Zoe and I had lingered in the shade, meticulously applying sunscreen, as if a layer of SPF would protect us from all pain. We watched the teens lined up for the diving board push and shove and dare each other into ever more dangerous stunts. Do we have to do this? Our expressions must have said loud and clear, because Jenny broke in. Don't think. The two of us, Chinese-American, straight-A students for life, stood blinking at her, uncomprehending. You know what to do, Jenny said, appealing to our knowledge base. It's the same as what you've done before, just a little higher. Come on now. It sounded so sensible on the ground. I tucked my hair into a ponytail, put one last smear of sunscreen on the back of my neck, and took my place in line. A few minutes later, and 10 steps down the plank, I was suspended over the county pool, sweating through my Speedo. I'm on the diving board. This feels a lot higher up than it looks. I took a deep breath and dove in with a big, fat splash. It was one of the proudest moments of my life. Not only did Zoe and I survive, we became divers that day. Not only did we become divers that day, we got a new lease on life. If I can do this, something I never thought I could do, well, then anything is possible. I was captivated by how fears held for decades could be dispelled in a matter of minutes. How many of us are held back by fears that make our lives smaller than they need to be, that, before we know it, define who we are? I started a blog about facing fears and trying new things in midlife called Facing 40 Upside Down. I figured if I committed myself in writing, at least Gigi could follow along and hold me to my promises. I wasn't sure if anyone else would read it. Everywhere I looked, I saw confident, successful people. I wasn't sure anyone else could relate. It turned out I was far from alone. Friends from all phases of my life and around the world responded from cyberspace. New acquaintances and neighbors from around the corner pulled me aside at the coffee shop or the playground to tell me how afraid they were. Afraid to swim, to drive at night, to ride a chairlift. Afraid of getting hurt, of looking dumb, of growing old. Some were tentative by nature and nurture. Others remembered living exuberantly until a bad experience scarred them. Still others, spread thin by life's responsibilities, no longer had the energy to shake things up. It struck me how universal the emotions were beneath the specific fears. It all boiled down to fear of pain, fear of rejection, fear of death, a sense of powerlessness. And the stranglehold these feelings had on us made us less than who we wanted to be. Not that there was any lack of advice out there. The self-help section of any bookstore had lots of suggestions for how to face fear. Unfortunately, they all seemed to conflict. It doesn't matter why you're afraid, just do what you fear, was one school of thought, while another cautioned, stop, think, why are you afraid? It's because of your brain, your genes, your upbringing, your chakras, your past lives, your diet, your pets, or lack thereof. If you could focus on your future, if you could reframe your past, if you could just be in the present, all might be well. There were books that profiled extraordinary heroes, jet pilots, prisoners of war, Olympic athletes, world leaders, stepping up to extreme challenges. There were books about putting life on hold for a spiritual quest, or doing fear factor type challenges like skydiving or shark cage diving. I loved those stories, but how did they relate to my life? I was tempted to chuck it all and buy the new encyclopedia of flower remedies. And then it came to me. I want to write a book about how ordinary people face everyday fears, about what motivates us, what keeps us going, what helps us most of all, about how our lives change when we become our best, bravest selves. Of course, fear is a valuable self-protecting mechanism, so I left some life-preserving, intuitive fears